What's up YouTube, Justin here. Today I'm going to show you how to flush and refill your radiator on a 1993 Ford F-150. This model of truck is probably one of the most simplest ones that I've ever done, and essentially the main parts that you're going to need is a nut driver to take this bolt off here of the radiator hose, and this is on the passenger side right beside the battery. And the other one is right beneath the fuel port down in the bottom here at the bottom of the radiator. I don't know if you can see it, but it's identical to the one I just showed you. It's got the same type of clamp, and all you're gonna have to do initially is just take that off and pull that hose off, and do the same to this side over here. Remove this clamp and pull it off. And you're gonna want to drain it into some 5-gallon buckets or whatever you've got laying around, and as simple as that. You drain it and then you refill it. Okay, so some of the things you're going to need is some type of radiator flush and cleaner, which I've got pressed on, and you're going to also need distilled water to cut it and run it through the system. In the very first step, when you get started, you want to drain all the old crap out. Whatever's in there right now, it's old, it's rusty, it's nasty. You're gonna want to get all of that out of there, and then once you get all of that out, you get your radiator flush and cleaner, dump it in the radiator, and then take distilled water to fill it the rest of the way up so it can pump it through the system and clean it. And then after you run your truck or car or whatever you're cleaning the radiator for about 10 minutes, then you're going to want to flush it back out of there. That's just for a quick flush. The directions also suggest that you can drive it for like 3 days to do a more intense cleaning. But for today's purposes, I don't have time to do that. I'm just going to do a quick 10-minute run for the vehicle, let it cool back down. And I've already drained out the clean and run. And this is the sample that was left over. You see all the foam in there? That's the actual cleaner. It's very orange and rusty. And I didn't get a sample of the initial flush from what was in there, but you can see from the reservoir here, the coolant reservoir, all that orange rust. That's actually what prompted us to do this radiator flush. My wife and mother-in-law were driving this vehicle for work, and it actually started pouring coolant out of the reservoir, so it was blocked up somewhere in here somehow or another, and it was pushing it back out of here and into the extra reservoir. So that's not good. That indicated to me that something was plugged up, and then the truck started running hot. So that's why we decided to do it. So far I've done one initial flush, which was all the crap that was originally in there. I've done a cleaner run, ran the truck for 10 minutes, let it cool off, and then I flushed it back out, so there's nothing in there right now. And the third one, I'm gonna take just pure distilled water, dump it in the radiator, fill it up, run it for another 10 minutes, and that'll kind of scrub any of the cleaner that might be left in there, get that out of there, flush that out, and then the final step will be to top it back off with regular 50/50 antifreeze. So I'll show you a little bit of that work, but that's the gist of how to do it. So if you've got an air compressor, you can actually put this air compressor in this top hose here and seal it the best you can, and that will force the fluid out of the engine, out of all the little flutes in the engine, and force it out of this hose down here on the bottom. But you've got to have everything taken off. I leave the radiator cap on, I don't know why, but it's going to force that fluid out and into your bucket underneath, and it seems to work really good. I'm going to see if I can get a shot of it actually happening, so give me just a minute. pro tip while you're filling up the radiator after draining it. This is something that I saw in another video a couple of years ago, and I remembered it while I was doing this. If you grab this top hose and kind of squeeze it with your cap open, it'll work the air bubbles out of there. And you just continue adding your distilled water. Remember, I'm on my second run through, so I'm just adding distilled water to get the cleaner back out of there. And what I do is I top it off all the way up. You can still see some of that cleaner in there. See how it's bubbly? And then I grab this hose over here and I'll squeeze it. And I'm pushing the air out of those lines. That's all I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm gonna hop in the truck here, see if I can't get it started. And the temperature is all the way down. Oil pressure is coming up. And I'm gonna turn the heat all the way on. And we'll put it on defrost, put it on high. And that's going to work that radiator. It's going to get all that fluid circulating in there. That water pump's going to be moving that fluid. And I'm going to run this for exactly 10 minutes. Here are the 3 radiator flushes that I did. I didn't have a sample of the original stuff that came out of the radiator first, but this was the first run through with the cleaner. This was the second run with the cleaner. It was just pure distilled water to get all that stuff out of there. And this was another one with just pure distilled water. It's a little rusty, but not bad at all. The final step is to fill it all back up, and you will be good to hit the road. And you might need a funnel. I'm making a mess of it. Remember, squeeze that hose, work those bubbles out of there. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below.